Yo, what's up, my friends? How you doing today? I hope you're doing awesome. Today, I got a tire problem. Because of the tire problem, I ain't able to do no videos for you guys until I get this tire sorted out. So that's what I'm working on right now. You see, some folks are trying to move their PMP vehicle forward, but they ain't got no air in their tires. It's actually an interesting analogy, you know. You might have a good vehicle, you might have the good capacity to store information, but your tires are flat. You need them to be pumped or you need them changed. You know, like my tire that I brought this vehicle in for, I thought it was just an air problem. So I tried a manual pump, that didn't work. And then I went out to get an electric pump, tried that. I then realized it was just hemorrhaging air. It was just like blowing straight out of the tire. And some folks are trying to do the same thing in their PMP. They're trying to fill the tire up. The air isn't the problem. You got a bad tire, you know? So anyway, I hope your tires, as you're getting ready for PMP, are not just hemorrhaging air. I mean, you're putting in information, it's coming out. You know, maybe it's the wrong tire you're trying to use. You know, so all of this to tell you folks, let me help you. Okay, if you're trying to get yourself back into alignment, you got crooked tires, you got no air in the tires, or you got a bad tire, I can help you. Okay, I challenge you. You got a problem? Send me a question right now. See if I want to answer it. Or I challenge you to hold yourself accountable. How's your studying coming along? Are you making the right traction or are you stuck? I can help you. That's why this channel is on YouTube. It's here to help. So don't forget, you know, it's episode 25 now on PMP Fast Facts. And we actually don't have any questions in the pipeline. Out of tens of thousands of users, or subscribers, we don't have a single question. Now would be a good opportunity for you to send your question in and to get it answered. See? Anyway, for today, I'm just going to share a few thoughts with you before my vehicle is done here. And the thoughts I want to share with you, you might have heard them before, maybe not paid attention to them. You know, in the PMBOK Guide 6th edition, you know, you have, hey, there's my friend, the mayor, the PMP mayor himself. Mayor, how you doing? How's your RMP studying coming along? So Mayor is one of our students who got certified on the PMP. I remember creating a video for him about how to prepare for his exam, and he took the exam and aced it. Mayor, did I ever get your lessons learned though? I don't recall sharing your lessons learned on this channel, and I should. Can you do me a favor and email them to me? Because I don't think I've featured your lessons learned. We should actually have a webinar for that, Mayor. Do you wanna shoot me those lessons learned, and maybe one of these days we can have a webinar for the good people? Yeah? Let's have a webinar for the good people and let them know how you were able to do it. Because I remember creating that video for you and the good news. Yeah, let's do a webinar. And how's your RMP studying coming along? Did you ever sign up for the RMP course with the Risk Doctor on Vimeo? How's that coming along? You know, I'm actually getting ready to do an RMP course, a full RMP course of about over 20 hours, because right now what I have with the Risk Doctor is about 4 hours. So I'm going to add a lot more content to it. So have you scheduled your exam yet? Have you scheduled your exam date for the RMP, or are you still in prep? Oh, what? Oh no. Shoot. Audited. Oh, you gotta love that. Not to worry. There's other things you can do while that's cooking. Maybe you can go for the CSM. It's also a nice addition. Or have you already got CSM? Or you can go for the ACP if you are into that world. Just find some agile projects over the next 6 months and PBA, fantastic. Good. In fact, I was just taking a look at the business analysis guide from the PMI. I was studying a little bit about their new. Well, it's based on the most current studies for requirements elicitation. I've been doing a little bit of studying on that. Yeah, it's kind of easy. And I like the way they break it down into inputs, tools, techniques, and outputs again. But I'm focusing on chapter 6 in the business analysis guide on requirements elicitation because collect requirements sounds a little bit aggressive. So I am looking to include a little bit more dialogue about elicitation, the drawing out of requirements as opposed to the demand. Give me my requirements. So I'm trying to marry that with some leadership perspectives and leadership concepts when it comes to requirements elicitation. Yes, chapter 5 definitely needs more attention. And the PMI have the practice standard for WBS creation, which is a lot more robust than chapter 5 presents create WBS. So I think I'll read that and learn about the team inputs that are required there. So yeah, I'm glad you're doing the PBA. When you get certified, come teach us a few tips that you learned. So good to hear from you. I'm glad you at least did your best for the RMP. It's been audited, not a big deal. 1 year later, see where they stand with that and go for the PBA. Yeah, PBA is a good one. Yeah, absolutely, man. Good to hear from you. So today I wanted to talk to folks about how to study the 49 processes. I know I've said this before, but I know some people haven't really paid close attention to my ideas of doing a note summary for every one of the 49. So I'm expecting you to have your like 8.5 by 11, maybe this size, sheet of paper for every process. Now, for every process, I want you to extract those unique inputs, those inputs that you don't see every day. For example, deliverables is not a common input. You see it a few places. You see it going to manage project knowledge. You see it going to control quality. And where else? I think you see it somewhere down below in procurement. But apart from that, you don't see it elsewhere. So I see that as an important input wherever it appears. Another example is schedule forecasts. You only find it once. It's an important input. You only see it as an input to monitor and control project work. Same thing with cost forecasts. And things such as that. There are many of them. WPI, you only see it as an input to monitor and control project work. WPR, you only find it going into, I believe, 5 places, if that, 4 or 5, can't remember. So things such as that, folks, you need to pay attention to these processes and their unique inputs. Because in a lot of the processes, you just find project management plan, project documents, EFs, OPAs. That becomes old very quick. Project management plan, project documents, EFs, OPAs. There's more to certain processes, and your job as you study is to find out, what is different about this? What makes develop project charter different in its inputs than develop project management plan? What makes collect requirements different from define scope? You see what I mean? So those little differences, you need to unravel them. Same thing for the tools and techniques, page 686 to page 693. You see, I don't have my pen book in front of me, but those pages are ingrained in my head. I know the importance of 686 to 693. That is where the tools and techniques are decomposed, and you can find those unique tools and techniques and where they are used. For example, product analysis. It's unique. You don't see that everywhere, and so on and so forth. So if I were you, I would have my 8.5 by 11, my cliff notes for every process. Do it. You're gonna find your understanding will spike. Do it. Get a page, 8.5 by 11, front and back. Your unique inputs, find them. Your unique tools and techniques, find them, document them, and your unique outputs. Not everyone. See? So you can have 8 tools and techniques, but only 3 are unique. Find those unique 3. See what I'm saying? So those unique ones are the ones you want to look for. When you find them, document them, understand them, move on to the next process. And then last but not least, I would like you to do a data flow, if you could. Do a data flow diagram for that particular process and show how it relates to the other processes where its outputs go. For example, develop project charter gives you the project charter. Where does that go? Draw it in a data flow. Show yourself where it goes. Oh, it goes to develop project management plan. It goes to all of these processes where we have plan, cost management, plan, schedule management, plan, scope management, plan X management. You got to identify that stuff. So that would be my idea to you for all of the processes. And then when you're done, you could do a knowledge area summary where you show the interactions of those processes for each knowledge area, just for that knowledge area. So you got, let's say in integration, you got 7 processes, show how stuff moves around, show what is going on. And that is going to help you better understand the 49 processes. You see, you can read as many books as you like, but if you don't take stock of these unique items and these unique relationships, you're just going to keep reading and not really understanding or not really knowing that you know. You see? I've got a friend here, Shiva Sanka. Shiva Sanka, how you doing? Are you getting ready for the exam as well? Are you getting ready for the PMP exam? Uh-oh, all of a sudden it went 80s. Or is this 60s? I think I look like I'm in a 60s movie. So I hope you're doing good, Shiva Sanka, and I wish you the best as you prepare. And just follow these little tips that I'm giving you, 8.5 by 11, front and back. Unique inputs, unique tools, unique techniques, okay? Then the data flows. I've got one more thing I want to tell you to do. You could do it on the bottom half of your 8.5 by 11, however you do it, whichever way. And good question. How about project document Oh, very good question. So I'm going to cover that question in a second. Before I hit that question, let me just remind you that something else you could do as you read the PMBOK guide, extract that magic one-liner or two-liner. Every process has a magic 1 or 2-liner sentence that makes it so different from all of the other 49. It's that one thing in the definition that makes it pop, you see, that makes it different from everything else. So if you're reading Develop Project Charter and you extract that one magic sentence that makes it pop, and it could be anywhere in the paragraph or multiple paragraphs, but for you, it's that one thing that makes it stand out. Every process has it. I'm telling you, I've got my unique 2-liners for every process. Most of them are highlighted in my PMBOK guide. So the moment you find your special 2, boom, it makes everything come alive for that process. For me, one of those is performing a great change control. What made it pop for me was not just understanding what performing in a great change control was, but understanding that as a project manager, I had an option. I had an option to approve the change request if I am the approving authority or my sponsor is the approving authority. So that took me out of the tunnel vision. Oh, there must be a CCB. Before I used to think, well, why wouldn't there be a CCB? There doesn't have to be. But a lot of people haven't really caught that the PMI give you an out that you may not need a CCB. And if you don't need a CCB, you, the project manager, and the project sponsor, or whoever is mentioned, can be the approving authorities. So that's what made it pop for me. Okay, so in the definition of every process, you need to find the one liner, the two liner that makes it pop, that distinguishes it, or that brings the light bulb on above your head. And then the other thing I would like you to do is find the benefits, find the what is in it for me clause. And you know how to find the what's in it for me? When you find a process and PMI says, you got to do managed project knowledge, or you got to do managed quality, you should ask yourself, okay, why? What's in it for me? What's the benefit? Let me call your attention to this. Every process in the PMBOK guide has its benefits. Did you know that? Can you imagine being tested on the benefits of a process on the exam? It could happen. So I want to challenge you. I told you I'd take my PMBOK guide everywhere. I thought I didn't have it, but I've got it. I've got it on this phone. So I'm gonna take a look at my PMBOK guide. But every process has its unique benefit. And for you guys getting ready for the exam, I want to encourage you. Dig into the benefits. Find the benefits. Actually, you might want to document them in your 8.5 by 11. So watch this. By the time you're taking your exam, you've got 49 8.5 by 11s, about this size. You've got 49 of them, and that's your last minute studying for the days leading up to the PMP. How great would that be? Some folks don't take notes. I think it's a mistake. You should take notes because you can condense everything down and do your last minute final review without going crazy and opening up a bunch of 500, 600 page books. Actually, let me tell you how I got this idea. So this is something I've been building for a while. But one of my students, Shruti, out of Virginia, who got certified, told me, Phil, the day before my exam, I took my summary sheets and I put all 49 of them out. And I took a look at all of them. And I said, that's not a bad idea. 49 discrete sheets. And as you get done with each one, that's it. You're done because it's very condensed and very summarized. So I thought about that for a few years, and now I think it's the best thing ever. Have your summary sheets, all 49 of them. So let me show you an example of this benefits thing I'm talking about here. Let's go to chapter 8. I hope you guys carry your PMBOK guide around, put it on your phone, put it on your tablet, take a look at that. How cool is that? My PMBOK guide is, well, you can't see it too well, but that's it. See that? See? That's my PMBOK guide on my phone. It goes everywhere with me, seriously, because you never know when you're going to have to refer to it. Well, I never know when I'm going to have to refer to it. Let's take a look at managed quality, and then I'm going to take your question about those documents and give you my 2 cents. So if you go to page 288, it says managed quality is the process of translating the quality management plan into executable quality activities that incorporate the organization's quality policies into the project. All right, not a bad two-liner. I'm not sure if that's what does it for me with this process, but it's not a bad one. Now, when I talk about the benefits, it is the next 2 lines. It says, the key benefits of managed quality are that it increases the probability of meeting the quality objectives as well as identifying ineffective processes and causes of poor quality. So think about it. If someone said which process detects the cause of poor quality, a lot of folks would say, oh, that's got to be control quality. No, it's not. You see how much you can miss if you do not zero in on the key benefits of everyone? Exactly. Hey, Carlos, my buddy, how you doing? Carlos said, sometimes we can overlook that small paragraph. Exactly, Carlos. And, even I've been guilty of that. I don't recall on my experiences in previous editions of the guide or other standards of really deliberately going through the benefits. And the benefits help you realize that what's in it for you. It's fantastic. I mean, I'm a raving lunatic when it comes to this now. I'm like Moses coming down with the tablets. When it comes to this, I get really excited about it. Anyway, let's take a look at that question that came in from our friend Shiva Sankar. All right. And the question is a very simple question. It's how about project documents? Sub items are important. Fantastic question. Great question. I love it. So I recently did a page 89 breakdown on YouTube. If you didn't watch it, you might want to go watch it. But when you go to page 89, what do you see? Project management plan components and the project documents. Now, what Shivasanka is asking is a boss question because it takes a boss to know the relevance of a laundry list of project documents. You see what I'm saying? Let me go to the notorious chapter 6. The notorious SIX. That is a notorious chapter in the PMP Guide. It's notorious because of the forward pass and backward pass quagmire that a lot of poor people face. But let me go to define activities because this is important. 6.2. Let's start there. So if you take a look at 6.2, it lists out project management plan. But if you're not looking below the surface, you're going to miss schedule management plan, which kind of is a no-brainer. And you're also going to miss scope baseline. Now, going to your point about project documents, this isn't even project documents. This is a particular aspect of the project management plan that without it, there is no way you can do defined activities. Think about it. You don't have your scope baseline. Theoretically speaking, why are you doing defined activities? Now, I know in the real world, we contravene all of these laws of the PMP Guide, and we totally bypass the WBS. No one cares about it. Well, I should say a lot of people don't. People say, what's the relevance? But in the world of the PMI, if you want to get that chain of events, you have to realize, let's go back to Shivasankar's question. It is, how about project documents? Sub-items are important. So let's even just talk about the project management plan first. The sub-items are very important because you need to know which specific sub-items are most relevant for every process, not just one, every process. And why? Well, when I say every process, I mean the 47 that use the project management plan as an input. So by now, you guys know, right? Carlos, did you know that? Shivasanka, did you know that the project management plan is an input to 47 processes out of the 49? You probably knew that. So for every process, everything in the project management plan may not be as relevant. There's some pieces that are more relevant than others. And you need to know that. Yeah? Very good, Carlos. Awesome. And you need to know that. So first of all, try to absorb the fact that for every knowledge area, its native plan, like let's say you're in scope, the scope management plan is relevant. Hey Angel, how you doing? Well, I'm glad you know that now. And the two, Angel, that the project management plan does not go into, the two, they are develop project charter and develop project management plan itself. Apart from those, the project management plan is an input to everything else. Everything else. So it is important that you understand why. Why is it an input? Let me give you another example. Identify stakeholders. Why is the project management plan? Why and how? You see, why is it and how is it? How is it? Because we're an initiated. So how can you tell me my project management plan is an input to identify stakeholders? See what I'm saying? But you can know if you read the section. And the reason why is because identify stakeholders is iterative. So your stakeholder engagement plan is going to give you a better strategy for identifying stakeholders as you go beyond that first iteration. So little pieces like this are important, okay? Now let's talk about the project documents, going back to Shivasankar's question. I said page 89 is where you can get all of those project documents under the radar. Okay? If you're taking a look at page 89, you realize they are all here, every single one of them. But if we go back to define activities, the output of define activities is threefold. Big ticket items I'm talking about, big ticket items. You got your activity list, you got your activity attribute, you got your milestone list. You need to know what each of these has in order to marry their relevance with where they are going as inputs. What is their relevance to wherever they're going? You see, some things are more important than others when you see them as inputs. So in order to show you this, we got to go to 6.3, okay? I know I'm taking you all over the PMP guide in 2 minutes. All right, let's go to 6.3. What is 6.3? All right, sequence activities, right? Now, if you go to page 187 and take a look at the sub-bullets that Shivasanka is talking about, what do you have there? You have activity attributes, activity list, assumption log, and milestone list. If you don't know those project documents and why they are inputs to sequence activities, how are you going to pull up sequence activities and how are you going to answer questions that relate to those inputs if you came across them? You see, for each one of these, you need to know, oh, my activity attributes, it tells me certain attributes of activities, further descriptions of activities, and those further descriptions, such as location, resource working on it, successor, predecessor relationships, that could help me in sequencing activities. What about the activity list? Well, that's what you are sequencing. What about the assumption log? Well, certain assumptions could necessitate scheduling in a particular way. You see what I'm saying? And then the milestone list, of course, that has to be built in to your sequence because you cannot achieve the milestone unless you've done the work. So all of these 4 bullet points on page 187 under project documents, this is a perfect example of why you should understand the relevance of these project documents as when you see them. You see? So when you intentionally take account for each one of those project documents, you are beefing up your understanding. Like now, assumption log is fresh in your mind. You now know that there are 4 inputs to sequence activities. It will be hard for you to forget why the assumption log is there if you've read it, if you've taken account for it. You know, in the PMP guide, we talk about configuration status accounting. How about doing project document status accounting for your studying? Seriously, I know I'm saying it in jest, but it also has some seriousness as well. Don't just fly over the project documents. And that's why in our course on Praizion.com, for every process, we decompose the process into all of the inputs, and every input we decompose it into all of its different bullet points. And then we unravel, why is this an input here? Why is this an input here? So Shivasanka, tell me, were you a student of the 5th edition? Because you sound like a student of the 5th edition in a good way. I mean, I was a student of the 5th and the 4th and the 3rd and the 2nd. The only edition I didn't study was the 1st. But I did have it, I did look at it, I just didn't study it. But I've studied every PMP guide edition except the 1st. And what I like about the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th is that they uncover the relevance. And not only that, they bring to the surface right there in your face. You know, they bring to the surface every input. There ain't no bottomless bullet point pit, if you get what I mean. In the 6th edition, there's a bottomless bullet point pit. And that's exactly what Shivasanka is trying to unravel here. Shivasanka says, yep, I got key project document sub-items to be captured as followed in key input. So I'm wondering, for those folks who read the 5th edition, don't you see that there's something missing? Everything's gone to the bottomless bullet point pit where everyone spaces, oh yeah, project documents, that's fine, I got it. Project documents, no, you ain't got it. That's exactly what I'm saying, Shivasanka. So you did study the 5th edition. You're like me, because when the 6th edition came out, I'm like, I'm not sure I like this. I'm not sure I like the bottomless bullet point pit, because now you just say project documents, and people go away with the illusion that they know project documents is project documents is not the input. Project documents is a catch-all for the very relevant sub-items you're not paying attention to. So that is just one example, folks. 6.3 is one example. Let me give you another one. Hold on a second. Take a look at one of my favorite pages, 205. Take a look at 205. 205. Hey Shri, how you doing? Shri, we're having a discussion about these project documents, your favorite. Shri is is a student of the 6th edition, and she's trying to unravel these little project documents as well. In fact, it was Shri who asked the question about page 89, and that's why I did page 89 for you guys. All right, so if you take a look at page 205, take a look under the inputs, project documents. You got a boatload of stuff here. Activity attributes, activity list, assumption log, basis of estimates, duration estimates, lessons learned register. A boatload. Why do you have this boatload here? Do you know why? You have it here because all of these are relevant towards your schedule. They're all going to be baked in some line item or some consideration in the schedule. But you need to know the pinpoint precision of each as you're studying. Let me show you another favorite page of mine. You're going to love this one. This is all the way down in chapter 11. And this is where we identify risks. I love risk identification because a lot of folks have been saved a gazillion dollars, euros, cents, yen, and rupees by paying attention to identify risks. It is a valuable process, very, very valuable. All right, so the page is 409. Take a look at page 409, folks. All right, zero into that bad boy. Take a look at all of those inputs, those beefy inputs. Take a look at the plans, the project management plan components, and the project documents. You see that? It's a boatload. Look at all of that stuff, folks. That is a boatload of inputs. But do you know why you got so many inputs here? You got this many inputs because all of these need to be scrutinized. Requirements management plan, schedule management plan, cost management plan, quality management plan, resource risk, scope baseline, schedule baseline, cost baseline. Why do we have all of these as inputs? And then take a look at the project documents. Assumptions log. Your assumptions could be riddled with falsities. Cost estimates, your cost estimates could be off. Duration estimates could be off. Lessons learned register could help you identify risks. The issue log, the list is endless. The reason why we have these inputs, folks, is simply this. You need to check your stuff. Plans, documents, and you know what? For every input that you've got here, you can link almost all of them to one tool and technique. Do you know which one? Let me see how much of the PMP guide you guys have read. Page 409, what are we going to tie most of our inputs to? Under project documents, under the project management plan, even agreements. Do you know? It is one, and it's kind of one of the bullets. Speaking of Shivasankar's question, you can tie all of these bullets to one bullet. It's ridiculous. You can tie all of these bullet inputs to one bullet tool and technique, most of them to one bullet tool and technique. You see what I'm saying? This is why your question, Shivasankar, is very important, because a lot of people are going to read the PMBOK and they're going to say, oh, I got it. I got it, project documents. No, you ain't got it. You ain't got it. You're missing a lot of low-hanging fruit. So, can you guys tell me, Shri, let me put you on the spot. What can I tie majority of my project documents or my project management plan items to on page 405? You know? Am I being a bad teacher by putting you on the spot, Shri? Let me help my student. Shri, I'm going to help you. It's number 3 and the final bullet. Number 3 and the final bullet. Do you guys open up your guide when I ask you to? Or you're like, Phil, I'm sorry, I don't have my PMBOK guide with me. That ain't going to happen right now. Tell me, I'm curious. I really want to know. Tell me. Do you open it up or not? All right, let me help you out. So if you're taking a look at 405 and you're taking a look at 3, it's data analysis. And all the way at the bottom, you've got document analysis. That is the final bullet. Now let me help you explain what document analysis is. Document analysis, very, very important here. It says risks may be identified from a structured review of what? Project documents. Goes back to Shivasankar's question. If you don't know that your document analysis is an analysis of your project documents, how are you even going to take a look at your project documents? This is why project documents are relevant. It says, risks may be identified from a structured review of project documents, including but not limited to plans. Isn't that funny? When the PMI in the PMBOK guide says a review of project documents and you see plans. I thought plans were plans on page 89 and documents were documents. Why do we have language of documents including plans? Now, I'm not saying that to knock the PMBOK guide, but I'm saying it to show you need to pay attention to the details or you'll get lost. See what I'm saying? So let me finish reading. It says, including but not limited to plans, assumptions, constraints, previous project files, contracts, agreements, and technical documentation, uncertainty or ambiguity in project documents, as well as inconsistencies within a document or between different documents may be indicators of risk on the project. Page 415. So, Shivasankar, I hope this has underscored the importance, hyper importance of paying close attention to those inputs that are just lumped as, oh, they're project documents, or outputs. Oh dear, this could go on all day. I got to show you guys this one. Hang on. This one, this is where the madness starts. This is where the madness in risk management starts. And this is why I get a bit nostalgic about the previous editions, because they didn't hide things in the bottomless pit bucket of bullet points. So if you take a look at page 409, identify risks. Take a look at the outputs of identify risks. So Shri, I wish I could type it in. Let me read it for you. It's a very simple question, but a very powerful question. A very powerful question. It says, how about project documents? Sub-items are important. In other words, are sub-items important when it comes to project documents? And the answer is a resounding yes. Absolutely important. So what I've been doing over the past number of minutes, going to about 40 minutes, my vehicle is going to be ready soon. But what I've been doing is really just taking you guys through different aspects and areas where project documents are so important. And there are very many of these where project documents, either project documents as inputs or project documents updates. Let me show you this one. I've been showing you where these things are important. Let me show you the project documents updates bottomless, bottomless bullet point pit. Page 409, and take a look at risk register. Doesn't that look good? It does. Take a look at risk report as an output of identify risk. Doesn't that look good? It does. But when you get to 11.3, it becomes a mystery to understand. Where's my risk register? You got to look under project documents for perform qualitative risk analysis, because that's where your risk register is hiding. So you got to understand you cannot do 11.3, 11.4, 11.5, 11.6, 11.7 except you've got your risk register, which is a project document input. So if you don't pay attention to that, you're going to whiz past it and miss it. You see what I'm saying? What about the risk report? You are going to miss its mention. So this is what drives me nuts about the bottomless bullet point pit. Poor students thinking they've got it. Oh, it's project doc. No, no, no. It's not enough to say it's project documents. You got to go into the pit. All right, here's another one. Take a look at the outputs of perform qualitative risk analysis. What do you see? Assumption log, that's all right. Issue log, that's all right. But the two critical ones that in previous editions of the PMBOK guide would have been, actually there was no risk report in the previous editions, but the risk register, it would have said risk register updates. So you know that you're getting updates to your risk register from this process. Here, you will miss it. You'll just feel, oh yeah, project documents, I got it. I'm not going to worry about that. You ain't got it. Risk register. Then which parts of the risk register are updated? Do you know? No, because people just see project documents and they skip over everything else. Yeah, so Shivasanka, thank you for the great question. I told you, if you ask a question, I am going to go the distance to answer that question for you, because it is a priceless question that a lot of people are missing. Some people don't ask the question. Oh, project document. No, that's fine. You got to look at the bullets, folks. All right? So, Shri, that's where we're at with all of this. I hope that makes sense to you. Elizabeth, how are you? Elizabeth says, this is my first live viewing and my book is actually en route. Okay. Well, Elizabeth, good to have you on the show, and thank you for chatting in. And when your PMBOK guide does arrive, you want to make sure that you use those highlighters. Got to use those highlighters on that thing. Mercilessly mark up your guide. Take no prisoners. Because here's the deal. Here's the deal. Within the next 1,200 days, that guide is not going to be used no more. Because you're going to have the 7th edition. And in another 1,600 days, thereabouts, it's going to be replaced by another edition. So I tell people, if you get a copy of the guide, manual copy, mark up that bad boy like there's no tomorrow. Don't feel sorry for it. Highlight it. Yellow, pink, red. Use post-it notes. Do all sorts of things that you want to recall that content. Shivasanka, very good. Shivasanka said, can you please share with me the weightage of trends, emerging practices, tailoring, agile? Very good question. And I'm missing it. Come back. Oh, and approaches in PMP exams. Very, very good question. So here's the summary. If it's in a knowledge area, you got to take it as fair game. What percentage of the exam will it be? Unpredictable. The PMI ain't going to tell you that. The PMI hasn't told us REPs that. Just the other day, one of our REP friends was asking, April, she was asking Have agile questions increased? And the answer is who knows? Only the PMI knows. Are the PMI going to tell you? Keep on wishing and a hoping, because they ain't. They're not going to tell you. All they're going to tell you is we could come from 31% of the questions in executing, 13% from initiating, 25 from monitoring and controlling. That's all. So Shivasanka, it's a good question, but here's my 2 cents. Read the whole guide, mark it up, because you don't know. PMI has not disclosed any weightage appropriations for those pieces, even agile. You got to put your ear to the ground. So I would advise that you become part of the PMI's LinkedIn group and just be a sponge to hear what some of these poor victims, no, sorry, poor students or test takers are telling you. Some of these test takers come out and they say, oh, I wasted all my time reading this and I didn't get one question. Those are the kind of people that I keep my ear to the ground and just kind of amuse myself. Let me tell you why I find it amusing. Not because they're not telling the truth. They are telling the truth, but I find it amusing when people say, oh, I had 100 questions in Agile. I had 5 questions in Risk. It is not going to be a recurring theme. Everyone's exam is different. Shivasanka goes in, takes the exam, he gets 2 Agile questions. Phil goes in and he gets 10. And I'm talking about within the same time period of about 2 weeks apart. So even if one person got 10 Agile questions, does not mean you will. And even if you got 50 Risk questions, you could have gotten 50 Risk questions that were distributed more across planning than anywhere else. Whereas I may get a boatload of Risk questions that may be more in monitoring and control. You see what I'm saying? So there's a lot of variability with the PMP exam. There's a lot of redundance with the PMP exam, and it is shrouded in some sort of mystery. So what I tell people is what Les Brown says: shoot for the moon, and if you don't get to the moon, at least you'll fall among the stars. And you could still come away with your 5 ATs, but you got to shoot for the moon. You got to leave no stone unturned. You got to be a junkie. That's why in our course, I do a little CTT section. I call it Concepts, Trends, Tailoring, and Consideration for Agile. So, that's what I do, just to make sure that people are paying attention to the right stuff. So, Shivasanka, I don't have a cookie cutter ratio for you, and I don't want to be prescriptive because the PMI hasn't shared anything like that with me or anyone, you see. So thank you, Shivasanka, I appreciate it. And just in my 2 cents to anyone would be to also read the Agile Practice Guide in addition, and also go a step further and look for Ken and Jeff's Scrum Guide. Read the Scrum Guide, get familiar with basic terms in Scrum, and that will help your understanding of Agile, okay? And help your understanding of hybridization. And for every chapter in the PMBOK Guide, highlight. Elizabeth, are you listening to me? Highlight every one of those unique sentences that jumps out at you in concepts, trends, tailoring, and consideration for Agile. You got to highlight. You got to be a student of the guide. Mark up that book. All right. So that would be my 2 cents to you. All right. You got any other question that I can answer? Any other question? Shri, did you have a question, or did I imagine it? Hey, Carlos, my buddy. Carlos says, most of the people that have taken the 6th say they saw very few Agile. Yep, that's right. Said they saw very few Agile, said Carlos. Very few Agile questions, maybe 2 or 3, but who knows for sure. If you get those right, it's in your favor. That's true. That's absolutely true. So nobody knows. No one knows. So Shri asked the question, is data analysis a tool and technique for most project documents? You could say that where you see an analysis, you got to be suspicious that there's either data to review or a document to review. So your work performance data going in, how are you going to get your work performance information out? Most often than not, it's through your data analysis, Shri. And we can open up the PMBOK guide and take a look at a few examples. So you see data analysis in a lot of places. So many. I mean, we could go on and on and on. But so where you find data analysis in, let's say, perform qualitative risk analysis, all right? So under data analysis, we have risk data quality assessment. Okay, where is the risk data? In your risk register. It should be there. So your risk register is a project document. So going back to your assumptions tree, you can say, yes, I am going to tie my risk register to the risk data quality assessment. This risk data is in my risk register. What about risk probability and impact assessment? Well, this assessment is done with information you're collecting new from your stakeholders, but where does it live? In the risk register ultimately. So you are quite correct, Shri, in saying it's either tied to a project document, or you can also say where you have the monitoring and controlling processes. And let me show you an example really quick. Like in monitor risk, let's see what we got in monitor risk. 11.7. What do we have in 11.7? Do we have data analysis? Under data analysis, we have technical performance analysis. So basically, less functionality than planned at a milestone. Where do we get that information from? It's got to be in one of the project documents somewhere. So yeah, work performance data. That's it. So your WPD is going to be tied to your technical performance analysis. Without the WPD, how do you know you've got less functionality than planned at a milestone? How do you know that the functionality that should have been happening next week is not? That is a risk indicator. What about reserve analysis? Again, how do you know the state of reserves? You got to be on your A game with your WPD. Maybe your WPR could also be tied in some way to this. So you're very correct, Shri, in saying in order to do a data analysis, I need data. Where's the data? It's either in WPD or buried or embedded somewhere else in a WPR or in a project document straight up. So very, very good question, Shri. Okay. Shiva Sankar says PMP exam outline link to processes for initiation and closing. Yes. So this is what you need to do, Shiva Sankar. You need to type into Google PMP exam failure stamp out. Hey Shri, can you type that link in for Shiva Sankar? Because I know you've got that link, don't you, Shri? I think Shri has got that link. Shri, you sent me a question, I think it was yesterday. I haven't gotten to it, but I did something with Curtis, and I didn't do entirely everything that you were requesting. That is tie the outline to a process page. But I'm going to be having another failure stamp out session. I don't know when, but when I do that failure stamp out session, I will address your question, and I will cover on that occasion every task. But what I did with Curtis, I covered some, and I'll send that to you when it's up on YouTube. You can take a look at it. But I don't have every single task in the content outline tied to a page in a PMBOK guide. I do have it tied to a process though. So Shivasanka, I don't want you to go away without this page. Let me see if I can find it on this phone. If Shri can't find it, do you find it, Shri? PMP exam failure stamp out. Failure stamp out. There we go. That's the page. Okay, let me see if YouTube will allow me send it to you guys. YouTube sometimes gets a bit temperamental. The Google boys don't like you sending crap to people. Excuse my French. But you know, we've had some very unsavory characters on our live streams sending like ridiculous links to people. So, oh, you see. Okay, let me click show. I think Shri shared it. Thank you, Shri. Thank you very much. So, Shivasanka, that is it. I hope you got it. And yeah, go there. You'll find all 5 of the videos and more, and a lot more there. I think you'll enjoy that. All right. All right, my friends. Well, I'm going to go check my vehicle, see if it's ready. It's been nice chatting with you. And remember, this is the channel where I answer your questions wherever I am, whether I'm in an auto place, whether I'm on a plane, whether I'm in an airport. You know, I'm going to show up and help you guys. So keep the questions coming, okay? I look forward to seeing you very soon. Thank you all very much for the questions. Thank you, Carlos. Thank you, Shri. Elizabeth, welcome to the gang of PMP Pembroke Loonies. I am the chief of them, and you're in good company. You want to talk about Pembroke, just send a question. I'll be more than happy. Shivasanka, thank you very much. Always great to have your input here. And the mayor of PMP. Mayor, I'm not sure if you're still watching, but you need to send me those lessons learned so that we can have a webinar for our friends on this channel, okay? All right, it's been great talking to you. You guys be good. Go back to your Pembroke guides, hit it hard, and let's get Pimpy in some cast iron fasteners. Teach him a lesson. All right, take care. Elizabeth, you probably don't know who Pimpy is. Go take a look at the videos. You'll see a curious looking creature. I'm sure Shri can tell you all about him.